All
Do we need
righty.
to leave and come back in?
It really doesn't matter. You can leave and come back in. That way you'll get those 2 green checks. Otherwise, the
Oh, yeah.
information is most important, so you're good.
Okay, thank you.
Like
that's why I don't get my green check.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. So if you want to get that second green check, but it doesn't contribute to your grade, it's totally up to you. If you want that second green check, just leave and come back. All right. So we are going to dive a little bit more into the history and food of France. And before we do that, though, I do want to show you one of these. I had never heard of this. It is aligot. It is the most incredible cheesy potatoes that I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to show you a quick video of it. Yeah. When I saw this, I just thought, well, I mean, have I died and gone to heaven, or what's going on here? Because this is
it those potatoes that just look like melted cheese?
Yeah, this is it.
Like pick the spoon up and it's just like.
I am going to hopefully, let's see if the internet is not too slow and can get this going here.
You're doing it wrong, man.
Oh, I'm doing it wrong, apparently. What's wrong with that? That was funny. So let me just let this load. It's taking a little bit of time. But this is, you cube potatoes, right? Standard way of making mashed potatoes. All right, you're gonna cube your potatoes. You're gonna drop them in a pot, cool, fill with water, bring them to a boil, cook until tender, push them through a foot mill or a colander to essentially make pomme puree. All right, then you're gonna load it up with butter and cheese and creme fraiche, and so much cheese that this whole thing becomes this molten potato cheese mess. So let me see if we can get this. Yeah, here we go. I'm gonna pull this up so we can see this. Oh darn, hold on. All right, perfect. We're in. Check this stuff out. Just look at how this flows. I think that's all we need to see. But this is it. Look at this stuff, guys. Serve table side as well. Unreal. Made with tome, right? Tome is another type of cheese. It's only going to work with specific cheeses. So, tons of things to learn and realize that you never stop learning, right? Chef Jerry and myself included. Where's that? I don't know what's playing. Sorry.
I had a student this week that he told me in his narrative that his polenta, he was like, oh, I was like going through my polenta, but I made a mistake. He was like, fortunately, my mom is the queen of polenta, so she helped me out and gave me some tips. I'm like, write those down for me in your narrative. I want to know the tips from the queen of polenta as well. Unfortunately, he didn't reach out to me, but if you're watching this, please let me know any tips that you have from the queen of polenta herself. I would love to hear them. We're always learning, guys. Chef, you all right? Can you guys hear me?
I can.
Okay. Looks like Chef Catherine's looking for something. Shelly, you have a question very quickly?
Yeah, can you re-show that video? That was, I kind of like that, and I don't know how to get back to it.
Chef Catherine seems to be having some type of issues right now. I don't know if she can hear us right now, but I'll let her know right now.
Okay, and what was the name of that? What were they making?
I'm not quite sure how to spell it. It's in French, but we'll get it from Chef Catherine right now.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Chef Catherine.
Sorry I got off topic, but I really like that.
No worries. Yeah, we'll get it to you right now.
Whew, I'm back. Sorry, Chef.
Oh, there you go. You're good.
Sometimes things just get nuts and the computer screen goes places and then you lose whatever's. Anyways, are we back in? Did Shelly have a question?
Yeah, she just wanted to know what that potato was called.
Yeah, the aligot. All right. So that's what I was saying. Continue to challenge yourself. There will be things that you will learn no matter what throughout your culinary adventure. there are dishes to explore and find out. Trust me, things that are just going to pop out of places, different ways of making eggs, souffles, et cetera, et cetera. So a few more things regarding French cuisine. Of course, we've got this huge breakdown of the regions, right? Which the more you dive into it with your readings, you're going to see that different regions, based on where we're located, are going to have more of an influence, as we said, from the regionality, and as well as just what location you're in, for whether it's seafood based or land based. As far as eating, the French hold themselves in pretty high regard, with pretty much saying that they that they know how to dine. All right, eating is one thing, dining is another thing, and to dine and to really become a gourmand, you have to understand flavor profiles and palates. And I will say, with the wide range of flavor profiles that French cuisine does have, from stuff such as foie gras to funky cheeses, they are quite open to these really unique flavor profiles. So I will give it to them that they certainly go pretty wild. Again, really locally based. They do a lot of hunting and fishing for their own products in the region. Some cheeses you might never eat. You might be a French citizen and never even have heard of the cheeses that are coming from another land, because they're made in just a small town or a small province. So it's really unique in that way. It's not like the Americans, all of us here, growing up on American cheese and Velveeta, right? And mozzarella coming in cubes. It's like it's a totally different ballgame. The kids are growing up eating that. So we talked a little bit about Escoffier, but let's talk a little bit about Marie-Antoine Carême, right? The inventor of grand cuisine, hot cuisine, right? Upscale cuisine. Really incredible food. That started in that was when he was working as a pastry chef, but just an incredible chef, all right? Absolutely incredible. The whole history of French cuisine, a lot of it comes on, the French Revolution, right? There was the Renaissance, way back in the day. There was no food to eat, right? And oftentimes revolutions and revolts happen when there's a lack of food. And that is what happened, right? Actually, even proper canning was a result of this, of the war, and having to get food to the armies out there. And in order to preserve the food, they had to come up with a different way of canning food that was stable and getting sent out to the armies. We've got the French Revolution that happened in 1789, and then we just started to see in the 1800s really cuisine starting to make its thing. Le Guide Culinaire, right? Our namesake's book. And I have got some fun little tricks that Chef Jerry threw my way. So let's throw them out. First things first, this is a little quick recap. What are the 5 mother sauces?
Bechamel.
Marinara.
Well, sauce tomato sauce. You're in there. You're in the range. Velouté.
Beurre blanc.
Hollandaise sauce.
Hollandaise sauce. I saw somebody call it white sauce, which I think you're talking about bechamel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then last but not least, one that's always forgotten, it takes the longest to make.
Oh, okay.
Espanol. Yes. All right. What comes from mother sauces? I like to make a joke. They're called children's sauces, right?
Bolognese.
Well, remember, we're going to take those mother sauces, and then you get, they're called derivative sauces, right? But an easier way to think, if you've got the mother sauces, you get children's sauces out of this, right? So you're taking that velouté and you're turning it into what? You're taking bechamel. One of the best things to turn bechamel into is what? You use it to make mac and cheese. If we add
Cream.
cheese to bechamel, what do we get?
Cheese sauce.
Mornay, sauce Mornay, cheese sauce, all right? So remember, these are those, yeah, that's how you make a proper mac and cheese, right? If you wanna make the real deal mac and cheese, you're gonna make bechamel and then you're gonna mont it, right? Load it up with cheese till it gets nice and cheesy, because it's gonna take on a richer consistency. And now we've got Mornay sauce, right? Get back into your guys' mother sauces. Remember, you wanna just, it can become a lot, but these are the basics, right? These skills are going to lead you down your culinary road, okay? Refresh yourself, challenge yourself. How do I make a hollandaise? What's my ratio for a vinaigrette? This is French cuisine. We are in the week of France. I want you all to take a little bit extra time and go back to your beginning classes and lessons and think about the basics of French cuisine, because the basics of French cuisine has really changed. I personally would say, for me, without the skill set of the base layer of French cuisine, sure, I was cooking when I was a child, right? I was like many of us probably were, right? Into food, cooking, eating, creating a mess in the kitchen, having fun with that, okay? But I remember going to culinary school and realizing, oh, okay, so when I was putting onion, carrot, and celery in, that was mirepoix, but I didn't know that there was a term for that. When I was thickening something and making a sauce at home and taking butter and putting flour in it and adding milk, I didn't know I was starting to make the base of a bechamel. But you learn that term, all right? Learning French techniques changes the game because of its accuracy and its precision, right? Knife cuts. Why is it important? Why do we keep driving home the importance of knife cuts? What does uniformity have? Yeah, Darian, what is the importance of knife cuts?
You want your mirepoix to cook evenly?
Cooking evenly, yes. Uniform knife cuts leads to even cooking. Exactly, right? We don't have even cooking. We're gonna have large chunks and small chunks. Small chunks are gonna become mushy. Large chunks are gonna be undone. That is not refined cuisine, right?
And no matter where you guys go in the world, guys, a brunoise will always be a brunoise. It's always going to be recognized as such, whether it's in English, it's in Spanish, you're in Europe, doesn't matter. A julienne will always be a julienne. That is the term that it will always be referred to. I've worked in kitchens that are primarily Spanish speaking, and they'll still tell you, they'll be like, hazlo julienne. Or they'll tell you Julieta, but close enough. So just always know that these terms are universal and it's always going to mean the exact same thing.
100%. So refresh your memory on those sauces, right? And think about where French food has come, right? French food, though, is still a very rural, homey cuisine. It's only when it became hot cuisine did it take off this, because I will tell you, it's a lot of stews. When you go into the countryside, you're going to be eating a lot of stews. We're eating cassoulet, right? We're making cassoulet this week. Right? It's pretty basic in the sense, right? We've got order of operations that need to hit, but there are not too many exact knife skills that we need on here. However, there's a way to make it so that the flavors come out, so that the beans tenderize. And it comes from a long-standing tradition of having already these cured meats that were in the cellar, right? Coq au vin, right? Chicken cooked or beef bourguignon cooked in the wine. Well, we had the wine there. We didn't necessarily had stock, but we've got all this fresh wine. Let's just cook with it, right? Utilization of products. This is what it's all about. Moving through some of the etiquette for dining. Of course, we know the classic bon appetit, right? Just like we have for almost every country, buen provecho, buon appetito, bon appetit in France, okay? Start eating, as we talked about, you're gonna start eating with the utensils that are farthest away from the plate, all right? So that means you're gonna usually have a salad, right? Or maybe you're gonna have some snails or soup, and you're gonna have these smaller utensils, and then you move into the main course if you're sitting at a fancy pre-plated restaurant. Not everything is gonna have that, but that is what it is. As far as moving through some of the other regional cuisines, truffles are also prevalent here in France. Not as, I would say not as much as Italy, but they're both huge and really utilized in both of the cuisines in certain areas. I think we've pretty much dug into a lot of this. let me see. Chef, was there any other, oh yeah, let's, one thing, let's go into this. Parisian cuisine, all right? Paris, the capital, all right? Just like we know, the capital is usually major metropolitan, right? That's where a lot, more educated people are. The farmers aren't out there. That is the place to be. So rich and mighty, the hoity-toity, that is where that fine dining haute cuisine originated in Grand Paris. Some of the greatest restaurants, Michelin star, really fine dining, but also just some of the just really quality chefs and cooks, because cooking is ingrained into France's history. But this is haute cuisine, right? The nouvelle cuisine. This is where it kind of started spreading, I think. Then it became everywhere. But you started seeing a lot of weird things going on with French haute cuisine back in the 80s as well, where they were incorporating, Asian influences into their bechamel sauce or their velouté. Their plate ups were a bit different. Let me see if I can get a cool, now if, let's see, you look at like old school French cuisine from the 70s and 80s, and you'll see how started in the 60s and 70s, sorry. But you'll see that there are some similarities to what we see now during plate ups. It's a little bit, it's not exactly, it's that they were a bit more rustic back then, and now we're getting a bit more refined with certain utensils and equipment and making different things. But this is what I think of right here, right? Like this is classic 1960s, 1970s. You're making a roulade, right? A roulade means you're taking a piece of a protein, you're flattening it out, right? You're going to stuff it probably with some type of force meat or mousseline. Then you're going to roll it, and then you're going to wrap it up in, saran wrap, plastic wrap, and poach it. All right. And then you're going to get this beautiful roulade that maybe then is wrapped in cauliflower or skin and seared off. And you're going to make tournée potatoes, which is really a cut that totally went out of style. You don't see it anymore. But I would say that if you threw some extra things, a few other things, you could see this at, one of the really expensive restaurants these days, right? They've got that, it's just a bit more ornate, a little bit more intricate. But you also had things, wild colors coming on. Plate ups were a little bit different. And just, we're kind of refining all of that right now. Let me just get all righty. So, nouvelle cuisine was hopping and popping in the 60s and 70s in France. Bistros, also French bistros, is a far more relaxed atmosphere than one of the fine dining establishments. The Michelin Guide, which I'm sure all of you have heard about, was started by the tire company, Michelin Tires, and it was to promote traveling around France. And it would it was a book that would say, hey, you can eat and sleep here. And it would rate the food. And it would say, is this worth going out of your path to go eat at this, basically a small lodge, a small hotel that also served food. That was the Le Guide Michelin. It was a travel book to say where you should go eat and dine, and where were places on the road to get a hot meal. That has gone from just simply a place to get a hot meal to the places that to go and get some of the most unique and elaborate plate ups and dining experiences that you'll ever receive in a lifetime. So it's come a really far way, but that's how food evolves and changes, which is pretty interesting. Chef, did you were there any questions that were coming out?
No, Chef, just wanted to add a little bit to that. So as Chef was saying, Paris was kind of like the center place for all of this just innovation. And Chef talked about the French Revolution. And that was something that you saw not only inspired culinary, but arts, technology, exploration. This was when the world just went boom and things exploded in terms of the technological advances that were made. And that included food as well. Food is an art, just like drawings and sculptures and all that stuff. So just wear that proudly. You guys are artists. You're putting your work onto a plate for people to eat, as opposed to on a wall to just sit inside of a museum. The word restaurant, it actually comes from the word restorer, which meant to, so that's kind of the way I believe it was in 1765, which was when the first restaurant ever opened. And this was also in Paris. Basically, what it was, it focused entirely on food and had choices that were different from the traditional soups and stews that Chef was talking about. Before, they were called taverns and stuff. But really what you were looking for in those areas was more lodging. So you would go in, you would sleep there, and then they would provide something super simple, some type of simple soup, some type of simple stew, but you didn't have options. So when this first restaurant was made, it was something that was actually catered more towards the upper class. Obviously, people that were lower class didn't stay in places like this. They kind of grew their own food and stuff, but people started going out and just kind of ordering different foods. So that is how this whole thing just kind of started up. And then little by little, menus grew, options grew from just a couple of different soups to adding elaborate plating, like Chef said, and then just we're where we are now. So just keep that in mind. It wasn't all that long ago that this started up. If you're thinking 1765, that's about less than 300 years ago, pretty much. So it's 3 generations ago, maybe 4, I guess. But this is all relatively new. So we're just kind of still in the boom of it. And next week, we're going to go into molecular gastronomy when we hit Spain. And that is just like next level stuff. So it's kind of like the future of where we're headed. So I just wanted to leave you guys off with that.
Definitely. I think Chef Jerry, you touched on it exactly. I was kind of leading into Nouvelle French cuisine, haute cuisine was the brainchild of molecular gastronomy. It was elevating, it was taking it and saying, oh, let's get really intense. Let's get very specific. I mean, it was cutting diamonds out of, your onion. All right. So that if you can make if you take a straight, like what you would do for a julienne, right? Cut for your onion, but then you take it, you've got this nice long strip, and you cut like this, you can make perfect diamonds, all right? And that was the attention to detail, right? That they were focused on, really like insane detail. And that's where they just went into Spain, which is right across the border, right? Influence, cuisine, and then they went nuts there. Changed the entire world of dining. So, again, we are all interconnected. One thing is going to lead inspiration to the next. And then, of course, I'm just going to give a little pre-bringer, which is there's one country over in Asia that was influenced by French cuisine. All right, start thinking about that. And again, just when we get over to that region, we're going to see some tiebacks. I'll give you a clue. Baguettes and pâté. All right, very common. What's that?
Vietnam.
Yep, Vietnam. You got it. Banh mi.
China.
Great food.
Yep, exactly. So the fusion of foods is coming, and just keep exploring. I'm going to be sending out some other links about French cuisine. The variations of dishes that you'll see coming out of there is pretty impressive. But a lot of just kind of homey, down cooked. Earthy food, a lot of mushrooms as well. So, Chef, any last words? Oh, I have one more last thing. Class, if you're missing anything, week 6 is coming around. You need to submit anything before, if you've missed anything through 1 through 5, obviously we're getting into 1 through 5, please reach out to us ASAP so we can get that locked and loaded. Just something that I was remembering. And that's about it for me on my end.
That's it. Stay curious, guys.
Yeah, stay curious and keep eating.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chef. Have a good day.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.